There's a strange kind of pain, a pain you've felt your whole life but can't quite explain. It doesn't come from a single moment or a specific memory. It's older than your body, heavier than your voice, and quieter than your thoughts. It lingers in the background like a shadow. It wakes with you, walks with you, sleeps inside your bones. And no matter how much you heal, no matter how much you grow, it keeps coming back. But here's the truth you were never told. That pain was never yours to carry. It was passed down, threaded through your bloodline, woven into your nervous system like a ghost no one dared to name. You inherited it, not as punishment, but as a torch, because you were the one who chose to remember. You see, before you were born, your soul looked down at your ancestral line. It saw the unspoken trauma, the silenced pain, the patterns repeating across generations. And you said, "I'll go, I'll carry it, I'll break the cycle." Not from ego, not from heroism, but from remembrance. You remembered what others forgot. That pain is a messenger, a code, a key, a contract. But when you arrived in this body, the world made you forget. It told you, "You're too sensitive, you're just anxious. This is how life is, don't look back." And so, you tried to adapt. You tried to silence the ache, to numb the sadness, to shrink yourself into a version that wouldn't feel so deeply. But the soul doesn't forget. And it kept knocking, through fatigue, through heartbreak, through anxiety that made no sense, because beneath all of it was the pain you came to transmute. Not yours, but somehow deeply tied to you. Let me ask you this. Have you ever cried for something you didn't understand? Felt grief in a place joy should live? Carried guilt that never belonged to you? That's not weakness, that's memory. The memory of wounds carried across timelines, across lifetimes, across names and faces you've never met, but feel deep in your marrow. You are not broken, you are remembering what your lineage buried, what society ignored, what your soul came here to bring into the light. And that is sacred work. Not everyone agrees to this level of remembrance. Not everyone chooses to carry the weight of generations, but you did, because you knew the only way to stop the pain was to feel it, to hold it, to let it speak, to finally give it the name it was denied. And that takes courage most will never understand. You're not just healing yourself. You're healing the voices that were never heard, the emotions that were never safe, the truths that were never spoken. And when you do that, something changes, not just in you, but in those who came before you and those who will come after you. You are the breaking point and the bridge. You are the one who said the pain stops here. But to do that, you first had to realize it was never yours to begin with. What kind of soul chooses a life of pain? A soul that remembers, a soul that is stronger than the pain itself. You didn't come here to suffer. You came here to set something free. But the world doesn't tell you that. It tells you to move on, to be resilient, to keep smiling, even when something inside you is breaking. But resilience is not suppression, and survival is not healing. The truth is, you were born into a forgetting. Forget who you are. Forget what you carry. Forget that every emotion you feel has meaning. So let's remember now, because your soul knew before you were even born what this life would bring. It saw the emotional contracts waiting, the karmic debts unpaid, the untold stories locked inside your family tree. And still it said, yes, that's not weakness, that's not victimhood, that is divine remembrance. You were never just someone trying to make it in this world. You were always a volunteer, a soul that came here to transform energy, to transmute pain, to cleanse something that no one else had the strength to face. And do you know what that makes you? A guardian, a bridge between the unseen and the remembered. Because when you feel what others refuse to feel, you don't just heal yourself and you break the echo. You end the loop. You free the children who haven't been born yet. That's why it hurts so deeply. Because you're not just living your life. You're clearing the backlog of 1,000 uncried tears. You're releasing screams that were swallowed generations ago. You're holding grief that never had a name. And that takes more than strength. It takes devotion. You see, most people think awakening is light and bliss. But the first sign of awakening is pain. Pain that refuses to be numbed. Pain that speaks in dreams. Pain that cracks your voice open mid-sentence. Not because you're weak, but because the veil is lifting. and everything hidden starts to rise. You're not broken. You're remembering. You're remembering that emotions are energies, that trauma is frozen memory, and that pain is a message in disguise. When your soul agreed to come here, it agreed to open a wound so old, no one alive remembered where it began. But you felt it, in your relationships, in your fears, in the tightness in your chest every time you tried to be happy. You felt the presence of something invisible. And that's the truth about ancestral pain. It hides in plain sight. It becomes your anxiety, your self-doubt, your exhaustion. It whispers through your blood. This isn't yours, but you can end it. And ending it doesn't mean denying it. It means facing it, with compassion, with breath, with presence. You weren't sent here to suffer in silence. You were sent to break the silence, to put language to what was unspoken, to cry the tears your great-grandmother couldn't cry, to scream the scream your father swallowed, to shake off the shame that was never yours. This is spiritual alchemy. Not pretty, not easy, but real. And in that reality, your soul becomes what it always was: a catalyst, a healer, a living doorway between the past and the future. So when you feel the pain rise again, don't ask what's wrong with me. Ask instead, whose pain is this and what does it want me to remember? Because the pain you carry was never a punishment. It was a map back to your soul. What happens to pain and when no one speaks it? It becomes invisible inheritance. Passed from mother to daughter, father to son, grandmother to grandchild, like a silent wind, carrying memories without names. And you were born with ears that could hear the silence, with a body that could feel what others ignored. That's not a curse, it's a gift that only old souls carry. Because some souls are born not just to live, but to complete what was left undone. Let's talk about that. Emotional inheritance is not just psychology, it's vibrational memory. Pain travels through the body, yes, but it also travels through energy. A mother who suppresses her grief sends signals into the womb. A father who fears failure builds a cage around his child's self-worth. A grandmother who never spoke her truth echoes in your throat every time you try to say no. You are not imagining it. You are feeling the past, as if it were yours, because vibrationally, it is. But here's the paradox. That pain doesn't belong to you. Yet you're the one who can transmute it. You're the alchemical fire that refuses to pass it forward. You're the soul that says, "It ends with me." That is sacred work, and it's not always glorious. It looks like panic attacks that come from nowhere, like depression that doesn't match your life, like guilt, even when you've done nothing wrong. And it's because your nervous system is carrying more than one story, but your awareness is the beginning of liberation. Let's go deeper. Have you ever cried and didn't know why? Ever walked into a room and felt heavy without reason? Ever dreamed of someone else's memory? This is not coincidence. This is resonance. Your soul is remembering something the mind cannot explain. And this is where the healing begins, not by fixing yourself, but by witnessing what was never witnessed, by giving voice to pain that was never allowed to speak, by holding space for the forgotten, without trying to make it pretty. Healing is not performance, it is intimacy with what hurts. It is listening without needing to fix. It is saying, "I see you, I feel you, you're safe now." And sometimes, that you is not you. It's the little girl your mother once was, the boy your grandfather used to be, the teenager in your lineage who never got to grow up. You are not just one lifetime. You are a continuation of many. But that doesn't mean you are bound to repeat them. That's what makes this life so important. You are the first in your lineage with this level of consciousness. You are the one with language for what was mute. You are the one with breath for what suffocated. So don't rush your healing. This is not a race, this is a ceremony. Each emotion you allow, each truth you speak, each tear you honor is a soul ritual. You're not falling apart. You're unraveling patterns that were woven before you were even born. And in that unraveling, you become something rare, an ancestor of light, someone who doesn't pass down the wound, but the wisdom. Someone who says, "This pain will stop with me, and I will rewrite what love means." So if you've ever felt like the black sheep, the too sensitive one, the one who doesn't fit in, it's because your soul didn't come to fit. It came to change. You are not broken. You are remembering your mission. And that mission, starts with one truth. This pain was never yours, but you were born to free it. There comes a moment in every ancient soul's journey where the weight becomes unbearable, not because you are weak, but because the time has come to release what was never yours to hold. That moment is now, and this is the ritual. A ritual not of religion, but of remembrance. A ritual not of performance, but of permission. Permission to say, I no longer carry what silenced generations before me. Close your eyes now, breathe slowly, and imagine the pain you've been carrying, not as a burden, but as a voice that was never heard. Visualize it, a shadow, a shape, a heaviness in your chest, or maybe a knot in your stomach. Now ask it gently, whose pain are you? Let the answer come. It may arrive as a face, a memory, a name, or just a feeling. Don't force it, just witness it. Because healing doesn't always mean understanding. Sometimes it simply means being willing to feel. And as you witness it, say softly, I see you, I honor you, I set you free. Yes, you are allowed to speak to the past, because time is not linear for the soul. The moment you bring awareness, you create a portal, a crack in the karmic pattern, a new exit for ancient pain. That is the power you hold. Now, place your hand over your heart. Feel its rhythm. That heartbeat is your own song, not inherited, not borrowed, not programmed. It is the sound of a soul reclaiming its path. Now repeat, I return what was never mine. Say it again, not from the throat, but from your bones. I return what was never mine. Say it for the ancestors who couldn't. Say it for the children you'll never meet. Say it for the version of you that was waiting, for this moment of liberation. And now, release it. Visualize it leaving your body like smoke, like light, like a thread unraveling. Feel your chest opening. Feel your back straightening. Feel your energy field expanding. You are not abandoning your lineage. You are purifying it. You are not betraying your past. You are fulfilling its promise, and as the pain leaves, something else arrives. Silence, peace, stillness. Not the kind you force, the kind that was always there, beneath the noise. This is your natural state. This is who you are without the echoes of pain. Do you feel that? That's your soul breathing freely, perhaps for the first time in this life. And now, listen deeply. What does your body feel without that inherited fear? What does your spirit whisper now that the burden is gone? You are not who they told you to be. You are not who they needed you to become. You are you. And the real you is not here to carry. The real you is here to transform. Let that truth settle into your cells. And when you're ready, place your hand on the ground or simply imagine roots extending from your feet. Say, I'm safe to stand in my own energy now. You are. No longer entangled, no longer hidden, no longer silenced. This is not just healing. This is a spiritual revolution happening inside you. You are not a victim of pain. You are a transmitter of freedom. You came to end the cycle, and it began the moment you remembered. This pain was never yours. Once the pain is released, something strange happens. At first you might feel empty, not peaceful, Manas, but hollow, because for so long you were shaped around the ache. You made choices from it. You built relationships inside it. You formed beliefs because of it. It became part of your identity, not because it belonged to you, but because it was always there. And now, without it, you stand at a threshold. Who am I without this pain? This is the sacred unknown. The moment when the soul meets its own reflection without distortion, without noise. It can be disorienting, because healing is not just about letting go. It's about rediscovering what was hiding underneath. The truth is, your pain once protected you. It gave you something to hold on to. It created meaning in a chaotic world. But now that it's gone, you meet the part of yourself that existed before the wound. And that version of you might feel unfamiliar. You're not used to the silence. You're not used to the lightness. You're not used to not being in survival mode. But this is what freedom feels like. Not dramatic, not loud, but subtle and sovereign. You begin to notice things. The voice in your head becomes quieter. Your reactions soften. You stop trying to prove yourself to people who were never capable of seeing you. You begin to trust your body again, to listen to your intuition, to choose with clarity instead of fear. This is the return. Return to your original frequency, to your soul before it was interrupted. You are not who the pain made you, You are what remained after the pain was released. And from this space, you get to create a new vibration, not based on protection, not based on ancestral duty, not based on guilt, but based on truth. And that truth might sound like, I deserve peace without earning it. I can exist without fixing everyone. I am allowed to feel joy even if others couldn't. This is not selfish. This is sacred restoration. The pain taught you empathy. The healing gave you clarity. Now you build from embodiment, because once the pain is gone, what's left is you, unmasked, unapologetic, uncompromised. And yes, this might feel strange at first. You may look at your life and realize some things no longer resonate. You may outgrow people who are attached to your wounded version. You may feel a little lonely in your light, but that is part of the integration. You are not better. You are not above. You are simply remembering how to walk in your own energy. And that changes everything because the world around you no longer defines you. You stop bending to fit into shapes that were never made for your soul. You stop carrying what others project onto you. You stop over-explaining your truth. You just exist, rooted, clear, magnetic. Not because you're trying to be anything, but because you've shed what you are not. And now, there is space. Space for new dreams, new connections, new experiences that don't repeat the past. You are no longer recreating pain, you are embodying presence. This is the power of the soul once it's no longer weighed down. So breathe. Breathe into the freedom that comes when you no longer live as a vessel of inherited sorrow. Breathe into the softness that comes when your nervous system stops defending and starts receiving. Breathe into the unknown and say, I am ready to be who I truly am. Because that is what the pain was hiding. And now you're ready to remember. There is a silence, and that only comes when the echo ends. You've heard it for years, that invisible voice repeating in the background, you're not enough. You have to earn your place. You can't rest, you carry this alone. But now, the echo has quieted, because the one who listened to it no longer believes it. That voice wasn't yours. It belonged to the wounded, to the forgotten, to the generations that never had the tools to let go. You listened for them. You felt for them. You broke the cycle for them. And now, you're free to hear something else. The sound of your own soul. Soft, still, true, no longer interrupted by inherited noise. Let that land, and you didn't just heal. You reprogrammed the energetic field of everyone who came before you and everyone who will come after you. You became the ancestor they will remember as the one who ended the pain, the one who remembered that love is not sacrifice, that presence is more powerful than perfection, that being fully yourself is the greatest gift you can offer this earth. And now, you walk differently, not faster, not harder, just lighter, because you're no longer dragging stories that were never yours to live. You're no longer trying to fix what was never yours to carry. You're simply here, alive, awake, available, not to the pain, but to your purpose. And that purpose is not a title, it's not a task, it's a frequency, a way of moving through the world without betraying yourself. It's choosing stillness when your ancestors were forced to run. It's choosing rest when generations survived on exhaustion. It's choosing truth even if your voice shakes. It's choosing you, the real you, the ancient you. The you that knew before coming here that this was never about the pain, this was about what lives beneath it. And now that you've gone beneath, you've found it. You've found the part of yourself that was never touched by the trauma, never broken by the lineage, never lost in the forgetting, the eternal flame, that flame, it was always there. You didn't have to create it. You only had to uncover it. And now, you're ready to walk forward with it. To let your presence become a permission for others to remember. Because now you know, the pain was never yours, but the healing always was. And from that healing rises something sacred. Not a performance, not a label, not a brand, but a soul in peace with itself. A soul that can rest without guilt. A soul that can shine without explanation. A soul that no longer needs to be understood, to be whole. So as we close this remembrance, to place your hand on your heart and say it one last time, the pain ends with me, and the light begins here. Breathe. Let that truth settle into your cells. Let it echo back through your bloodline. Let it ripple forward into the future. Because this is not just the end of a story. This is the beginning of who you came here to be before the pain ever began. And now, you walk forward, not carrying anything, but your soul. Reflection for your heart. If the pain was never who are you now that you've let it go? Leave a comment below and share what part of you was touched by this message. Your story matters. You were never alone.